Yo, what's goody with you all today? My name is RayGVT, and today I have something a bit different for you. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a brief deck profile of one of my favorite decks in the Digimon TCG, and that's the red Gallantmon, specifically the red X antibody version from BT9. I know it recently received some new support in the EX3 format, but I haven't had a chance to fully play and test that yet, so I'm going with my current favorite version of the deck. Gillmon and Gallantmon have always been my favorite Digimon ever, and I've been playing the deck for a long time now. It's by no means the best deck, especially in the OTK heavy format, but it's still my personal favorite one. Recently, I got the chance to have some battles against my good friend Reggie Bear, and we had some Tamers themed battles, and this was my deck of choice. The video will be up for that very soon, so keep an eye out for that when it drops over on her channel. Anyways, enough of all of that, let's get into the actual profile itself. So starting off with my eggs, I play the 4 copies of Digimon. So Digimon is obviously it's very good for this deck. It's got a really nice when attacking effect. If you have the Gillmon, Growlmon, or a Gallantmon, it's basically just a free draw. And I do play a 5th egg in here, which is just the Kapurimon. Kapurimon is a very solid egg, especially for tamer play, as you know, you're going to be doing a lot of like tamer plays in here because you do have quite a few in this deck. It gives you an extra DP, 1k DP if you have a tamer in play, which is very nice. So that's how we're starting off. Next up to my rookies, I am playing 4 copies of the starter deck 7 Gillmon, which is really good for its inheritable for the draw when you delete, but mainly for the warp digivolve effect. It allows for a lot of aggressive plays, and this deck is very aggro, so this helps get there faster, especially when you find yourself kind of in a spot where you need to catch up a little bit. You can warp digivolve on top when you've been pushed back quite a little bit, so it is very, very nice for that. Up next, I have my 4 Gillmons from EX2. This is my searcher for the deck because I want to be searching for my Digivolutions quickly, and it also helps me to get to my Takato tamer much faster if I don't open with it. It's very nice, just for, you know, good search power. Lets me get the Takato and anything with Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name, so it helps get to that a lot faster. Love it. And then moving on to the first X piece, this is Gillmon X. It is a free X upgrade, and you're able to delete a Digimon with 3k DP or less when digivolving, plus it increases the maximum DP threshold, which is what this deck is best for and is known for. It increases the DP threshold for up to 1k, so that's actually pretty neat. It does give you a little bit of a push, which is very nice because Gallantmon is a deck or a Digimon that, you know, you will find you do need to have those extra DP pushes, increase the threshold as much as you can. So this guy is part 1 of just making all of that happen. Going into my champions now, I do play 4 of the starter deck Growlmons. It's very good for memory gain every time a Digimon is deleted, and because this deck focuses on deletion and such, having that extra memory gain is great for allowing me to keep up the pace and just allowing you to just maintain your turn a little bit better. So this card is what you want to be going for with your champions. Then I follow up with the Growlmon X Antibody. It's pretty straightforward. It digivolves for 0 on top of the regular Growlmon, and it adds 1k DP to the maximum DP for the threshold. Again, just something that you really want to make sure that you do is getting the stack right. So pieces like this and the Gillmon X are very important for that. So Growlmon X Antibody just kind of helps push that strategy. And then finally, I have 1 hybrid in here, which is the Burning Greymon. Because I feel the hybrid is almost essential in a deck like this. It helps give you that extra push when you need, and you can digivolve it on top of a tamer or on top of a level 4. Plus, it has 6k DP, which is actually very good compared to something like a Goodie-mon, which is something that I did consider. If you're at a disadvantage and you don't have anything on the field, or for whatever reason you don't have anything in raising, you can pop off with this, put it on top of your tamer, add an X antibody underneath, which will allow you to continue your plays into your War Growlmon and beyond and get back up to speed pretty nicely. Having a hybrid in the deck is very good and something that I 100% definitely recommend. Onto the ultimates now. I play 4 of the starter deck 7 War Growlmon. This is like the secret savior of the deck. It gives an extra security check, which is great because this is a heavy attacking deck and we want to burn through our opponent's security as fast as we can, but also its one attacking effect is very neat as well. You can delete a Digimon with 3k DP or less. With the stack build, this can push that threshold up to 5k potentially. And I just find that extra security check definitely comes in handy, so you definitely want to be able to go into your War Gallantmon as much as you can, obviously, as you're building up to your Gallantmon and such. And obviously, I follow that up with the War Gallantmon X Antibody. It's got a great when digivolving effect because it allows you to maintain your turn a bit more. And if you have your previous X Digimon in the stack, you can delete up to 6k Digimon and potentially up to 8k. Again, if your stack is right, this is why you want to be making sure you go into your X antibodies as much as you can with your Gallantmon X and your Gallantmon X because you want to be able to follow up onto its effect. So War Gallantmon X is where we start really trying to dish the damage out before we can get to our Gallantmon. So definitely something that you want to be able to see. We play this at 4, and yeah, I wouldn't really recommend anything less. And now on to my megas. Here we have the one Gallantmon from the starter deck 7. Now, I've gone back and forth with the different red Gallantmons in the game, but I found that this one is seriously the best one in my opinion. It gives an extra security check and can digivolve practically for free. When attacking, it can delete a Digimon with 4k or less, and if it didn't delete anything, it gains an additional 3k DP, which is so good. However, I do have a couple of gripes. I do have just a little bit of a gripe with this card. It does rely heavily sort of like on the current state of the board, which can be very problematic for it, because if it's not popping off with this effect or gaining that additional 3k, it's only swinging into security for 11k, which is fine, but a lot of the times, I don't know if it's just my bad luck in card games showing, but I was always swinging into Digimon that were much bigger than this in security, which is a huge problem, because if he goes, then we're essentially back to square one, and that's the biggest thing that you don't want with this deck. If you get reset, it can be very hard to build up again and make a comeback. But I still find that he is the best Gallantmon, so I play just one of him in this deck. And then I play one copy of just the Gallantmon X from EX2. Now, I'm also playing the EX2 Gallantmon because I feel like he irons out a few of the weaknesses mentioned with the starter deck 7 Gallantmon, in that he gains an extra 2k DP on your turn, which is great because it allows you to feel a little bit safer when you're swinging into security. It also increases the DP threshold by 2k, and that is awesome. That's the whole game plan with this deck. And its third effect, which allows you to delete a number of Digimon with up to 6k DP or less. And again, with the right stack, that's increasing up to 8k DP, potentially. You can go up to 11k if you tech the right cards too, but it's still amazing for what I'm running. Well, the type of build that I've kind of gone with for this specific version of the deck. You can do a lot of deletion with just this guy alone, and once those deletions start happening, that's where this deck just starts flying. I love it. And then I have my two Gallantmon X antibodies. This is the star of the deck. It digivolves for 1 off of Gallantmon and can delete your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. And if it doesn't, then you can restand him, which is great. The only problem that I have with this card is that its DP threshold is only 12k. But with the starter deck 7 Gallantmon, it can go up to 15k potentially, but only if the right conditions are met. Your tamers can also help out a lot with this too. It's great for that deletion effect alone though, because there have been times when my opponent only has one Digimon that's there, and that's the most powerful one on the board, and X's effect can just kick in and delete it, getting rid of the problem, and it just feels very good. It feels very rewarding when that situation does come up and you're facing off against this one huge Digimon, but obviously X's effect will prompt, and it basically just forces the deletion, which is very nice. I play this at 2. I did play around with 3, but it does get a little bit bricky at that point, so I recommend 2, but play around. And then onto my level 7s now. I play just one Gallantmon Crimson Mode. This card is nuts. It has a great deletion effect, which then triggers all of your previous deletion effects. When attacking, it allows you to trash the top card of your opponent's security stack for every 10 cards in your opponent's trash. So you can just trash one, then swing into their security for another. Then if they have 10 cards or more in their trash, you can just trash another one. So you can trash up to 3 cards in total, which is very good. It's so good for just burning through security if you can reach it. It's a great game-ending card, and it can come in really clutch for you in a lot of situations. It came in very, very clutch for me in quite a few situations when I was testing and in some of my early games. Now, previously, I did run 2 during a lot of my first matches with this deck, as well as my test matches, but now I opt to run only 1 because, yes, I want to see him, but it did feel a little bit bricky at times with 2. So, I swapped 1 out in favor of my next level 7, which is just the 1 Blitz Omnimon. Now, Omnimon Blitz, this card works amazing in this deck and, well, many other decks, but with the aggression that this deck puts out, it's always good to be able to have the Omnimon to just go for game in situations where you don't have or can't go into your Crimson from your Gallantmon, but you still want to end the game. It is a very good card, and I definitely recommend running at least 1 in this type of deck, with this type of build anyway, so yeah, definitely comes in handy. Now, onto my options. So the first option that I run is a Fireball. I previously had this at 2, but now I have it at 1, which I'll explain why in just a second. With how aggressive this deck is, Fireball is a great card for just getting rid of your opponent's rookies early, because Gallantmon is a bit of a... He's a bit of a glass cannon, I like to say, in that it can dish it out, but if you give your opponent enough space, you can and you will get rocked. And again, with this deck just falling apart, if you put it in the situation where you have to reset, it can be fatal. So Fireball is great for just getting things out of the way nice and early first. And if you're not able to delete anything with its effect, you can just draw 2, which still helps you out quite a bit. Now, the reason why I opted to run only 1 is because I wanted to see a little bit more removal in this deck, which is something that I felt I still needed to add a little bit more. So next to Fireball, I am playing just the 1 copy of the Gaia Force. Gaia Force is the nuke of the deck because this deck needs, and I mean needs, nukes like this. It's unfortunate that it never came up in my security though, but I do only run 1, but I'm thinking of maybe swapping something out to run 2 of these. It is a deletion card, so all your deletion effects still do trigger off of this. You can play it for a little bit cheaper potentially with cards like Takato and some other Tamer cards, but it is up to you to recover the memory right once you do, because it is an 8 cost. And yeah, but if you just want to straight delete something off the board and not want to worry about it, Gaia Force has got you. Up next, I do have just the 1 Lightning Joust. It's just a very good card for aggression, especially early on. It helps you with your Gallantmon X, especially if you want to go for that straight OTK. This card can give you the extra push to make it happen. Plus, the extra security check is amazing if your conditions are met, obviously. It's a great boost for the deck. I only played 1 for some reason, but I recommend running 2. I probably should run 2 of these. It's only a 1 cost, and I feel like having 2 of these in the deck would just do me a little bit better. And then I do play 2 copies of the X Antibody. Now, I play 2 of these, and it feels like they came up all the time, which is good because sometimes I found I just wasn't getting my X cards in order. So having this allowed me to still continue my plays involving X Antibody effects. And I feel like I can bump it down to 1, but I'll have to see how I go next time. But right now, I'm finding it's okay to run at 2 for now. And then I do play the red memory boost just at 2. No need to play 3 of these. I find just 2 is enough. It's red memory boost. It's pretty straightforward. It acts as a searcher, gets us our red cards in our hand as soon as we can, and obviously on the following turn, you can just activate it to get your memory boost, your 2 free memory, which is very helpful because in this deck, the more memory we have, the better. So yeah. And then finally, for the most questionable card in my deck, I do play 1 Atomic Megaloblaster. My last option card is Atomic Megaloblaster. I have caught a bit of flack for running this card, but I found it was great for helping with board wipes, especially early on in the game. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if you can stop your opponent early in the game, you're doing good. You're doing good. This card allows you to get rid of a Digimon or multiple Digimon that add up to 10k DP or less. Plus, similar to Gaia Force, you can help yourself recover with cards like Takato and other certain tamers. It does cost less than Gaia Force, only costing 6, which is nice and helps you a little bit easier with that. And I think I'll keep it in for some future battles, but I do find this card is helpful. Alright, and finally, onto my tamers, I play 3 Takatos. Now, Takato is your main and primary card of this deck for support. He's amazing for his Blitz alone, and he gains you a memory when you delete something. It's absolutely essential and works amazing for the Gallantmon strategy, but I find that it's also quite flexible for other decks too. Like, I can see Takato being the type of card that you can slot into some certain other red decks. I feel like it can definitely work for a few other decks that aren't just this, but for this deck specifically, he does amazing things. So absolutely essential at 3. I wouldn't bother going for 4 because I feel like that's a little bit too much, but I feel like 3 is a good enough amount. Next up is Cool Boy. Yes, I play 2 of these because I want to be getting to my X cards ASAP, and when you digivolve into an X card, you can suspend him to gain a memory, which is very helpful in a lot of cases. So this guy just helps get your X plays just going, or finding your X cards if you don't already have them, or you find yourself needing to search for them a little bit more. Cool Boy is just really good for that. And lastly, I play 1 hero. I know a lot of other people opt to play the red Taikamiya instead, but Gallantmon is a deck that definitely needs that extra DP bump that hero can give. Plus, it's a memory tamer, which is very helpful in kicking off our plays. I feel like he's just great support overall and just fits into this deck very nicely. I only play him at 1. I did play around with trying him at 2, but I find 1 is enough, really. So that is going to do it for my primary deck profile. Those are all the cards that I was maining and playing in the actual deck itself. Now, there are a number of other cards that I feel you can tech into this deck, and some cards that I bounced back and forth with. I'm not going to go into too many, but I do want to highlight a few keys that can help this deck out in some different ways. So cards like Crimson Blaze, which has become a staple, is very good, especially if your opponent has a wide board, and the deletion effect for it is just great. Crimson Blaze is definitely something that you can slot into this deck. If you want, opt out for something else, maybe take out a Fireball, replace it with the Crimson Blaze, maybe, but yeah, just an option to consider. The next one up is Great Tornado. Great Tornado is a card that I tried very early on in testing, but opted out of, but it's great for this deck because it's a plus 2k DP gain effect, and it gives an extra security check for your OTK pushes. There are some other cards that you can sub better for this, but the simplicity of it helps out a lot for a deck like this. It's very standard, it's very straightforward. I played with it and I was like, yeah, sure, why not, but I probably won't keep it in the final thing, but just an option to consider maybe. You could also play around with the red Gallantmon from BT1. He has a very neat Digivolving effect, which lets you delete a Digimon with 6k or less if you have a red Tamer in play. That 6k, again, being able to go higher with the rest of your X cards, and his 1 attacking effect, which lets you trash one of your opponent's security cards for every 10 cards in their trash. That 6k, again, being able to go higher with the rest of your X cards, and his 1 attacking effect, which lets you trash one of your opponent's security cards for every 10 cards in their trash. It's kind of like a Crimson Mode Light, and I feel like it's something that could definitely work properly in this deck if you kind of like built it around this one guy specifically. But yeah, just some options to consider. But yeah, that is gonna do it for my deck profile, guys. Thank you so much for checking it out. Again, I don't really do stuff like this. This is my first deck profile. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like showcase a little bit of the deck that I played with in the most recent 30 matches or exhibition matches with my friend Reggie Bear. Be sure to go over to her channel and check out her deck profile for the one that she used, and keep an eye out on her channel as well for the battle video that she's going to be dropping soon. But yeah, thank you again for checking it out. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys back here again hopefully very soon with some more stuff like this. Yeah, you guys take care. Thank you so much for checking out the deck profile again, guys. Just really quickly, I wanted to come in here and give a little bit of a shout out to DigiDread. I want to give a shout out to DigiDread because I based most of this deck off of his original Gallantmon X deck profile, but I wanted to tweak it and kind of make it my own a little bit more with some of the extra inclusions and additions that I added. But yeah, again, big thanks to DigiDread. Salute to you, big dog. Thank you for coming through with the sauce and the tech. I appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you guys check out this deck at some point as well. It is a very fun deck. It is Gallantmon. He's your boy, he's my boy, and yeah, I'll see you guys again very soon. This video was brought to you in part by Gamers Rush. Gamers Rush is an awesome TCG shop with a range of TCG products, both sealed and singles. Gamers Rush offers a variety of different products for all sorts of TCGs. Be it your bigger, more well-known ones or other more niche games, Gamers Rush has got you covered. You can save on your first purchase by using my code RayGVT to get 10% off your first purchase. Thank you so much to Gamers Rush for partnering with me, and I hope you enjoyed the video.